Hello, my dear listeners, and welcome back to the Kapeel Gupta Career PodShow. And today, I want to begin with a line that sounds simple but can open a very deep door. Your handwriting may be saying more about you than you realize. Not because it's just ink on paper, and not because it's a school habit, and definitely not because it is something small. Handwriting is personal. It carries rhythm, movement, pace, pressure, spacing, and style. And many people believe that the way we write can offer meaningful clues about our confidence, our emotional patterns, our decision making, and the way we express ourselves in the world. And that is why graphology has fascinated people for generations. It's not just about letters, it is about human expression. Britannica describes graphology as the inference of character from handwriting, and the British Institute of Graphologists traces the modern term to the 19th century work of Jean Hippolyte Michon. And that is exactly why this episode matters. Because handwriting is not a small thing. It is one of the most direct places where the mind, the body, and expression meet each other. When you write by hand, you slow down, you focus, you leave behind a visible pattern of how you are showing up in that moment. Research in 2024 found that handwriting produced much more elaborate brain connectivity than typing in ways linked to memory formation and learning. A 2025 review also said handwriting supports learning and memory through the encoding effect. So, whether you approach graphology as a reflective art, a self awareness practice, or a leadership mirror, the act of handwriting itself is powerful. So, now let me make this more real. Imagine a young professional named Ria, smart, hardworking, ambitious. The kind of person who looks sorted from outside and slightly scrambled from inside. In meetings, she wanted to sound confident, but often second guessed herself. In opportunities, she wanted to lead, but often hesitated. One day, during a reflective exercise, she was asked to write one page by hand. When she looked back at it, she noticed something strange. Her words were rushing, her spacing was tight, her signature looked like it wanted to hide. Was that a final judgment on her personality? No, but it was a moment of awareness, a mirror, a pause, a clue that maybe even on paper she was carrying urgency, pressure, and self doubt. That day, handwriting stopped being just writing for her. It became a doorway into self observation. And that is where our conversation begins. Hi, I'm Kapeel Gupta, career coach, life mentor, graphotherapist, and founder of Study Abroad Academy. I help students, parents, and young professionals gain clarity, confidence, and direction in life and career through deep coaching, mindset transformation, and the powerful practice of graphotherapy. Because career success is not just about choosing the right course. It's about becoming the right person for the life you truly want to build. So, the first thing we need to understand is what graphology is. See, graphology is the study or interpretation of handwriting with the idea that the written form may reflect something about the writer's inner tendencies, personality, emotional style, or behavioral pattern. Over time, people have used handwriting analysis to explore confidence, communication style, discipline, emotional control, leadership potential, and self expression. For many, graphology is interesting because It turns an ordinary daily action into a reflective tool. It invites us to notice things we usually ignore. How fast do I write? How much pressure do I use? Do I crowd the page or leave healthy space? Or do I sign my name boldly or shyly? These are simple questions, but sometimes simple questions reveal a lot. And that is why graphology is more than a quirky skill for many people. It becomes a language of self awareness. And self awareness matters more than ever. The World Economic Forum's Future of Jobs Report 2025 says that leadership and social influence, resilience, flexibility and agility, and curiosity and lifelong learning are rising strongly in importance as workplace skills. In simple language, the future does not belong only to the most qualified person on paper. It belongs to the person who understands themselves, adapts well, influences others positively, and keeps growing. And now, let us come to the second part: handwriting and personality traits. When people talk about graphology, they often connect handwriting with things like confidence, decision making, creativity, emotional balance, consistency, and mental pace. Think about it. Even without a graphologist, you can often feel when someone's writing looks calm, when it looks rushed, when it looks hesitant, or when it looks very disciplined. And that does not mean every line is a formula. It means handwriting can act like a behavioral snapshot. Take confidence, for example. Many people notice that when they feel strong and clear, their writing also feels more grounded. And when they feel unsure, their pen movement becomes smaller, shakier, tighter, or hurried. The same can happen with emotional balance. Sometimes a page itself shows restlessness. Sometimes it shows order. Sometimes it shows patience. And sometimes it shows tension. Again, the value here is not a dramatic judgment. The value is in mindful observation. And this becomes especially useful in corporate life. In offices, startups, leadership roles, and management settings, people are constantly judged not only by what they know, but by how they carry themselves. Can they communicate clearly? Can they take decisions? Can they stay composed? And can they bring order instead of panic? These are leadership traits. They are human traits, and supporters of graphology often believe such qualities can be reflected through features like clarity, spacing, pressure, flow, and structure in writing. And that is why this topic feels so relevant to Gen Z. Many young people today want to become managers, founders, entrepreneurs, leaders, creators, and professionals who stand out. But leadership is not built only by speaking loudly, it's built by clarity, steadiness, self belief, and consistency. And that is exactly why handwriting becomes such an interesting mirror. It may help a person ask, am I showing steadiness or confusion? Am I centered or scattered? Am I deliberate or reactive? The third part of this conversation is where it becomes even more exciting: leadership potential through handwriting. See, many people believe that traits like clarity, consistency, balance, firmness, and readable expression in handwriting often align with leadership qualities. A leader usually needs presence. A leader needs emotional steadiness. A leader needs the ability to create confidence in others. And supporters of graphology often say those traits may be reflected in the way a person writes and signs their name. And now this is where the idea of CEO signature becomes interesting. Look at famous leaders, business founders, or public figures, and people often notice something in common. Their signatures usually do not look apologetic. They look decisive, visible, assertive, present. Not because the signature alone created the leader, but because the signature often becomes an extension of identity. It becomes a small public statement. I am here. I stand by this. I take space. And that is why signature work fascinates so many students and young professionals. A signature is not just a legal mark, it's often a visible piece of self image. And this matters because leadership itself is becoming more important in the world of work. The World Economic Forum says leadership and social influence has seen one of the most substantial increases in importance among core skills compared with the previous edition of the report. That means if young people want to grow in management, entrepreneurship, consulting, or people facing careers, then self awareness and leadership presence are no longer optional. They are essential. So, if handwriting helps someone become more aware of their pace, pressure, confidence, and clarity, that becomes a useful growth practice. Not destiny, not magic, but awareness. And awareness is where change begins. So, now let us come to the fourth part, practical career applications. And this is where students and professionals always ask, fine, this is interesting, but how does it help me in real life? So let us begin with interviews. Before an interview, most people are busy fixing the resume, clothes, and answers. Very few people prepare their inner state. Handwriting can be used as a pre interview grounding exercise. Write one page before the interview. Notice your pace. Notice whether you are centered or scattered. Notice whether your signature looks strong or frightened. Now, this is not about performance drama. This is about settling your nervous system and creating awareness. It also helps with personal branding. Your writing style, your signature, your handwritten notes, your thank you messages, even the way you write in a notebook before a meeting can quietly influence how you feel about yourself. When people bring more clarity and steadiness to their writing, they often begin carrying a little more clarity and steadiness into their communication too. Then there is team dynamics. In team settings, people often misunderstand each other. One person is fast, another is thoughtful, one is expressive, another is contained. Handwriting reflection exercises can become a useful self awareness tool in leadership workshops, team building spaces, or coaching environments. Not to label people harshly, but to encourage them to observe how they express rhythm, energy, and control. And yes, many people are curious about hiring with graphology. Some recruiters and organizations in different parts of the world have historically shown interest in handwriting analysis and an extra lens to look beyond the resume. But even more useful than that, in my view, is for the job seeker to use handwriting as a self awareness tool. Before trying to impress the world, understand the way you are showing up. And that is more powerful than trying to decode everyone else. So now let us move to the fifth and most practical part, daily habits and self improvement. And this is where handwriting becomes more than observation, it becomes practice. See, if you want to grow in confidence, focus, leadership, and positivity, handwriting can become a daily ritual. Not because the letters are magical, but because repetition with awareness changes the quality of your attention. Like start with journaling. Write for 10 minutes every morning by hand. Not on your phone, not by typing, by hand. Write what you're feeling. Write what you're avoiding. Write what you need to improve. Write what kind of person you want to become. See, handwriting forces you to slow down, and that slowing down itself is deeply powerful. The 2024 study on handwriting and brain connectivity showed that handwriting activates broader patterns of brain communication than typing in areas linked to learning and memory. And then try mindful writing. Choose one sentence and write it slowly for a few minutes every day. It could be I lead with clarity or I respond with calm. or I carry confidence with humility. The point is not blind affirmation. The point is to link intention with physical action. Then there is what many people call corrective graphology. This idea suggests that by consciously changing elements of handwriting, a person may also strengthen new mental habits. The smartest way to use this is not as magic, but as disciplined practice. If you want more steadiness, practice slower and more balanced writing. If you want more clarity, practice cleaner spacing and clearer forms. And if you want more confidence, practice signing your name with more presence and legibility. The handwriting becomes a training ground for state of mind. And let us be honest, young people today need these daily anchors. The World Economic Forum's 2025 work on new economy skills says only about 1 in 2 employers consider their workforce proficient in collaboration or creativity, and even fewer see strong resilience, curiosity, and lifelong learning. That means the world is not only lacking technical skill, it's also lacking inner quality. So, any practice that helps a young person becomes calmer, clearer, and more self aware has real value. And this is why I find handwriting so meaningful. In a world of speed, it teaches pace. In a world of noise, it teaches presence. In a world of image, it teaches inner observation. And in a world of reaction, it teaches intention. Let me come back to Rhea. She did not become a stronger leader because one letter changed her fate. She became stronger because she began using handwriting as a daily mirror. Every morning, she wrote one page before touching her phone. Before important meetings, she slowed her writing instead of speeding up her anxiety. She noticed that when her writing became calmer, her communication became calmer. When her signature became clearer, her self image became clearer. She was not changing ink alone, she was changing awareness. And that is the real message of today's episode. Graphology for many people is a fascinating way of reading patterns in expression. But even more importantly, handwriting itself is a powerful practice. It supports reflection, memory, attention, discipline, and personal alignment. So, whether you approach graphology as a leadership tool, a mirror of personality, a reflective art, or a self improvement practice, the real opportunities lies here. Use handwriting to know yourself better and grow more consciously. So, here is my life changing call to action for you. For the next 21 days, before you touch your phone in the morning, take one notebook and write one page by hand. On that page, answer 3 questions. What am I feeling right now? What am I avoiding right now? And what kind of leader do I want to become? Then sign your name clearly at the bottom. Not because your signature is magic, because your commitment matters. Do this for 21 days and you'll begin to notice something beautiful. Your writing may change a little. Your awareness may deepen a lot. Your pace may slow. Your clarity may grow. And sometimes the smallest daily stroke can begin the biggest inner shift. And now, let me speak directly to the student, the young professional, and the ambitious dreamer listening to this podcast. If this episode made you realize that you do not just need marks, degrees, or technical skills, but also deeper confidence, leadership presence, self awareness, and clarity about your future, then this is exactly where I can help you. Through my counseling work, I help students and young professionals understand their strengths, build greater self awareness, and move towards the right career and life direction with confidence. So do not leave your future to confusion. Do not keep guessing your own potential. Message me and let us decode your path together. This is Kapeel Gupta, and you're listening to the Kapeel Gupta Career PodShow. Write with awareness, reflect with honesty, lead with clarity, and remember, sometimes your handwriting is not just showing words, it's showing the way you are becoming.